Good evening everyone, welcome to BBC News. Today, in our special section TTT, Teachers Talk Time, we are going to talk with Professor Cesar Guerra, who is in charge of an investigation about the use, the reuse, and the creation of material to teach Chilean teenagers the use of the simple past connected with sport. He and his team are going to show us some very useful material that will allow us to cover in a better way this challenging unit.
Thank you, Cesar and David, for being here tonight. So tell me, Cesar, how difficult is to teach students the simple past?
Well, thanks for inviting us to your section. And yes, after a long time speaking with other teachers, we have realized that the past simple for 7th grader is a very difficult topic to cover because Chilean teenagers are usually lazy and do not want to deal with understanding the difference between regular and irregular verbs in the past.
Furthermore, they have to deal with positive, negative, and question changes. In the verb, it is difficult tense since they need to move from present to past.
Do the programs or the books that the Ministry of Education provides give you enough or appropriate material to teach that?
We believe that textbooks are not very appropriate for the different Chilean teaching context. So teachers are in a constant search for better materials to use in the classroom.
So what we want with this material is to make a student able to express event and personal information in the past through an interview.
Could you share with us how have you solved that issue? Can you show us some examples of the materials that you have created?
Of course. So, first of all, we'll deal with vocabulary. In the past, we just used a PowerPoint presentation to introduce and show the whole vocabulary for the entire unit. But now we have enhanced the part by creating a matching card game in which students will have to find their partners either in sports or sports and equipment vocabulary. They will do that in 2 different lessons so we can make sure that the vocabulary is properly learned for later usage.
That sounds really interesting for students. That takes me to the question, how will you do with grammar?
Well, in order to deal with grammar, we took many old worksheets that we had to use with this grammatical tense and we adapted it to our student needs because they did not possess enough practice of grammar points of particular difficulty to our learners. First, they will learn the different endings of the regular in the past form by classifying them in a chart, and then they will use this verb to create affirmative, negative statement and question for short answers.
And what about the regular verbs, which seem to be the most difficult part for students?
For dealing with irregular verbs, we have adapted previous worksheets, since the amount of material is too much to cover in the time allocated to lessons. In this worksheet, students will first complete a chart with the infinitive, the past simple, and the translation of a set of verbs. They will first the chart by themselves, without any help. Then, in pairs, they will exchange information and answers. Finally, they will have to go around the classroom and exchange information again with other classmates. They will then fill in the blanks using the same verbs.
How do you plan to achieve the final goal? At what point are you going to apply their knowledge and how?
As we said at the beginning, our goal is that students create an interview in pairs for a famous sport person. For that, we are going to provide students a reading passage in the past so they can see the past tense in context. This reading passage is about Michael Phelps, and the idea is that the student complete the text with the correct form of the verbs in brackets, and then they will answer a set of questions to check understanding. Also, we have chosen different sports since we want to expand the knowledge about other sports in our students.
How will they know how to conduct an interview?
For that purpose, we will show students a set of interviews so they can see different samples of how to conduct an interview. The interviews are, of course, related to sports. After that, students will discuss the differences between the different interviews. that they saw, and then they will proceed to create one by themselves to show later on in a class. In order to assess this, we created an analytic rubric which will be shown to students in advance.
Well, certainly you have showed us that it is not necessary to invent new things every day. It seems a really good idea to adapt things that you already have. What seems to be the most important part is the students that you have, to get to know them and understand how you can help them to learn. And now we're going to take a look at the materials that you bring today. So here we have the worksheet about the simple past, where the students are going to learn how to use the verbs, the irregular and the regular verbs. Then we find the worksheet that is going to help the students to develop their reading skills. And also it is about a famous sport person, so they are going to apply their knowledge about the verbs in past, and also they are going to develop a skill. And here we find the rubric that is going to be used to assess students, where we find different criteria that is going to be evaluated. And here we can see the matching cards game, where students are going to learn about the vocabulary of sports and equipments that are related to the different sports that they learned before. Well, thank you again for telling your experiences and sharing your materials.
Thank you.